another classic album review. We've done, what, 2 of these, Robbie?
We did Rumors and
What's the Story of Morning Glory? Yeah. So to quell any, fear or anything like that, we're not playing any clips of the songs of this incredible album because I know that's everybody's fear. But today we are talking American Idiot by Green Day. One of my personal favorite records. Me and Robbie have bonded over this record. I know that for a fact. And it's something that I've recently gotten into so heavily. I don't know what it is, but I think it got fed to me on a Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
And I was like, we need to fucking talk about this. So first off, Robbie, how old were you when this dropped?
This is September 21st, 2004. I had just turned 6.
Fuck you.
And this was everything to a 6-year-old Fox. I mean, the Bullet in the Bible live album of this, I listened to until that CD broke. It was just like every day, me and my friend Chris would put that on. Remember, we would like try to see if we could hold out our lungs for the big holiday at the end of that song. Like, this was probably my first like true favorite album.
Yeah. Did you ever do the eyeliner?
Oh yeah, I mean not as a kid, but more like when I started getting advanced. Yeah, I was like, gotta do the eyeliner.
Dude,
I told you my high school band uniform was basically the Billy Joe. Like we wore all black and a red tie.
Oh yeah,
because red was our school color.
Yeah.
So it was like every time I had to put that on, I was kind of like rolling my sleeves up, acting like Billy Joe.
This was the first poster I had on my wall. It was Mike Dirnt, Trey Cool, and Billy Joe standing there, emo makeup out. It was above my bed. My wall had so many posters on it. It was above my bed, that poster. And my dad just looked at that and he's like, what the fuck are you listening to? He was like, because my dad's all classic rock. But this to me, I was 6th grade. This was 6th grade for me. So not old, but not a child. And this was like the most important album to me at that point.
Yeah.
And it was like such a great period of time in rock. And this was kind of like a turning point period because this was this and then In Your Honor was right after that.
Yep.
And I want to get into the similarities between the 2 albums sonically, but this album was so goddamn important not only to rock and roll but to Green Day.
Definitely.
Because this was a resurgent album. We're going to get into the history and all that, but I just like first and foremost, this record to me, is this like the birth of emo in a weird way? I don't know, like stylistically, like 2004 wasn't prime emo yet. It was getting there, but like is this an emo album?
I always look at this as almost like an alternative rock album, where a lot of their earlier stuff was like more the pop punk or punk, straight up punk. Like people call Dookie pop punk all the time.
Oh yeah,
they say that's the start of pop punk, and I'm always like, but that's just like I don't know, it's
just
like
punk
rock.
Yeah,
like that, yeah. But this is, I mean, it's before Black Parade, which was another thing that like is another one. Black Parade wasn't quite as big as this album, but it was one of the last big rock albums, and both of them kind of had that emo flair.
I thought about Black Parade today when I was listening to What's Her Name, last song on the record.
One of my favorite Green Day songs.
That outro is so Black Parade.
The way it explodes and shit.
It's so Black Parade. And like the influence that this had on bands for the next probably 10 years after that, humongous. And there's nothing that I am more excited to do than talk about each of these songs individually, which we will get into. We're talking about facts from the album, where they were in their career, all that. Let's start like we always do. Let's start with the facts.
Yep.
As you said, 7th studio album off Reprise Records. It was released on September 21st, 2004. It was produced by Rob Cavallo. Billy Joe, Mike, and Trey Cool also have production credits as well. Because did you ever watch the documentary?
I have, yeah.
Heart Like a Hand Grenade.
Heart Like a Hand Grenade. And then they made another documentary on the Broadway show where they kind of go into some of this as well.
We talked about this right before we got on air. You've seen the Broadway show, right?
I was at the first dress rehearsal
Jesus
for the Broadway
Christ.
show.
All right, what was it like? Because I haven't seen anything about it.
It was really cool. Like if you're a Broadway fan,
yeah.
I can't imagine Broadway fans saw that and were like, this is revolutionary, this is awesome. But if you're a Green Day fan, it's awesome. It's like going to, I mean, you're literally going, and it's not just American Idiot. They weaved American Idiot and 21st Century Breakdown together.
No shit.
To tell like kind of like a longer story.
Right.
And it was really cool. They had like different characters. What's Her Name was a character.
Saint
Jimmy's
Jimmy.
a character.
Yeah.
Billy Joe played Saint Jimmy on Broadway for a while. I didn't get to see him as Saint Jimmy, but he did like a long stint as Saint Jimmy on Broadway. That would have been awesome. And they had like live band on stage every night, throwing out sticks to the crowd and shit. It was really cool. And then they toured with it for a while.
There is, because it's a rock opera, right? You're gonna say it's a rock. Totally. It is a punk rock opera set in like the fucking guise of like the Iraq War.
Yeah.
Like it is a heavy fucking album, but like, you know, they'd say rock opera. There's been like a couple rock operas that you can think of, Quadrophenia, things like that. But if there was ever one you could take to Broadway, there are so many songs on this record that feel like they're like Broadway soliloquies, like that you could step out. Did they do that on the Broadway?
Oh yeah, and the way that they weave in the different songs, do the melodies, they do the thing that American Idiot does, where like one song will go right into the next. Like when you listen on Spotify at this point, songs are literally like paired together.
I was gonna say it's a 13-song record if you get the CD, but on Spotify half the songs are split,
which is a little bit annoying.
It's annoying as fuck.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I just want to listen to Boulevard of Broken Dreams. I don't want to listen to Holiday before it. You know what I mean?
But as I was listening to it on the way in, I really was like, damn, the songs that they paired together, like the Give Me Novocaine, She's a Rebel, they're the perfect, like, side one, side two, parallel to each other. One's a little softer, one's crazy. Are We the Waiting into St. Jimmy?
Oh, it's
it's such a beautiful melodic song.
I'm taking my jacket off. I'm getting hyped.
And then you go into fucking St. Jimmy, and it like the beginning guitar of that sounds like a fucking piercing switchblade coming out or something.
You know, I'm getting comfortable. I'm excited.
Yeah,
it's fun. We're talking rock and roll, goddammit. Like this is so nice. On our podcast, we always wind up going back to rapping.
And I'm also looking at some of the other things that Rob Cavillo has produced.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, the list is unbelievable.
Speaking of the Black Parade, he produced the Black Parade. He produced Goo Goo Dolls' Iris. Ever heard of it?
Yeah.
A bunch of Phil Collins from this Tarzan soundtrack. Alanis Morissette, Uninvited from City of Angels soundtrack. Paramore Decode from the Twilight soundtrack. This guy's got an unbelievable resume.
So, Rob, open invite to the podcast, obviously.
Yeah, for real.
I didn't know this, actually. It was recorded at Studio 880 in Oakland, because they are a Bay Area band. And then Ocean Way in Hollywood, because, of course, it has to be a Hollywood album, too. But the thing to me that's amazing about this record is it's a departure, but it's kind of an amalgamation of everything they'd done previously. If you think about it, it kind of has these moments. Like, there's a few songs on the record that feel like classic, like Insomniac, Green Day. But it was following Warning. And I love Warning.
We were talking
about this recently. I love Warning.
Same.
Warning got shit on by the critics.
It's crazy to me.
Critics hated Warning, which I don't understand. It's like got like this folky kind of Celtic element to it in some aspects.
A lot of acoustic guitar all over the record, which I talked to the day we were talking about this. I was talking to my brother about it as well, and I was like, dude, like, why were people so down on it?
Yeah.
And he was like, I love it. My brother loves it. He's like, my best theory was Nimrod went so hard before it, and it was such a hard record that when they come out with this, it's like, is Green Day going pop?
Oh, Insomniac and Nimrod both, after Dookie, got like darker and darker. Yeah. And then, of course, you got to stretch your legs from time to time.
And then you do like a Macy's Day Parade song, which
it's
like
so
now
good.
It's like, oh my God, what a great song.
By the way, we didn't even mention, like, it also followed, it was International Superhits was before this.
That's Maria on it.
Maria, Pop Rocks and Coke, like that is like, that is the CD that taught me how to sing harmonies. Like as a musician, it taught me how to sing harmonies.
And that's another thing about this that I was thinking about on the way in. Like, there's so many moments on it where they put their musicality on display, and it's like, oh my God, these guys are talented. But then there's so many moments where it's like, these could be the first song that a guitar player learns. And it's just the most tasteful, melodic playing there is.
Dude, it is one of the first albums that I remember playing along to.
Yeah.
And me and you were talking about this yesterday. To any musicians out there who've ever tried to play along to this record or cover these songs, Billy Joe Armstrong fucked everybody up because for some reason he tuned all the guitars up a half step. So anything you'd play in E is in F, everything you play in C is in C sharp. So
crazy, don't they? Usually you would tune down a half step. No.
Well, that's the Stevie Ray Vaughan thing. Jimi Hendrix did it. They tuned down a half step.
Yeah.
I guess this is because he has such a higher register voice.
Interesting.
But
I think Sweet Child of Mine is a half step up.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is about this record, but there's like so many aspects of this that I fucking love. The fact that it's the blending of their previous albums where there's so many acoustic guitars on this album. They layer everything. But yeah, we'll get into where they are in their career, but real quick, just to wrap up the facts, 267,000 albums first week, and that's pure sales. Which is just
people going to Best Buy and picking up CDs.
Yes,
back
and
then.
I had 2 copies. I had Bullet in a Bible, and I had American Idiot, and I probably had the deluxe too. But first year did 3.4 million records, and as of 2014 did 6.2. It's their second highest selling album of all time. What's number 1?
Dookie.
It's Diamond.
Still, wow.
Yeah. Shouts out to Kenny Carkeet, Diamond Boy, obviously.
That's nuts. That picture is so baller.
Dude.
With the black.
Oh, I hate that guy. Because now we can just hold it over my head forever. Kenny's the man. But let's kind of like walk before we get into a breakdown. But where they were in their career, as we said, they were coming off this kind of like a down period. Mm-hmm. Warning was a down period, obviously. And they were kind of lost, I feel like. And if you watch the Heart Like a Hand Grenade documentary, you can tell they had caught like this wind of resurgence when they started to go in to cut this album.
Yeah.
but
little chip on their shoulder.
Sometimes
that's what bands need.
But the amazing part about American Idiot was it was never supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And it's lore. It's a fucking legendary story. But they were going in to cut an album called Cigarettes and Valentines, and the master recordings got stolen.
And they had a lot of that album done.
A lot of that album done.
On Wikipedia, it says after completing 20 songs, the demo master tapes were stolen.
Which is amazing to me that they said, I want to start from scratch.
Yeah.
Which I would love to have been a part of that conversation in that room. I just imagine Mike and Trey sitting there like, all right, well, let's just recut them. And Billy Joe's like, I got an idea. How does a fucking rock opera sound? And they were like...
And then the engineer that just worked on 20 Green Day songs is just like, oh.
There's just a pile of cigarettes in front of him. Like, all right, I guess we'll just start over. But I think it shows you how tight they were as friends and as a band and where they were, that somebody could come with the pitch for, let's make a fucking political rock opera about these characters. One of them's named Jesus of Suburbia. Yeah. And they weren't like, all right, weirdo, like, go ahead. Let's fucking do it. And I guess at that point where you're one of the most successful bands in the 90s, you have something to prove again. And it's like, balls to the walls, let's fucking make history.
And it's crazy they did it. They literally, with this album, like...
I want to hear those Cigarettes and Valentine's tracks. And who the fuck has them?
There's a couple that are leaked.
Really?
Not all 20 are leaked. There's a couple you could find on YouTube that are good. They sound kind of like the American Idiot style.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of, I think, the musical style they were going for. Wasn't as quite as political and stuff.
Yeah.
But the song itself, they started playing on tour, Cigarettes and Valentine's. They put it out, played it on tour, and I want to say like 2012-ish, and it's a banger of a song. It's great.
There was something, a buddy of mine, I'm going to shout him out, Paul Scholey. He's one of our traveling photographers. He's one of my best friends. He was groomsman of my wedding. He's my fucking boy. He sent me a link to a band called The Network. And you already knew about this. And for those of you who don't know what The Network is, it is a secret Devo-esque Green Day project that they recorded and basically toured as. They did secret shows as before American Idiot.
Yeah.
And...
the weirdest shit you could imagine.
Literally, it's like fucking pop punk Devo.
They're wearing like luchador masks, and they look like one's wearing a burglar mask, and it's strange. Yeah, they have a bunch of side projects like this. We were talking Foxborough Hot Tubs. They have one. I know Mike's got bands where he plays guitar, which is always weird to see Mike Dirnt with a guitar. It looks unnatural.
The most unsung hero in rock and roll as far as harmonies go. He is the perfect harmony man. Yeah. And I want Mike Dirnt on this podcast so bad.
And even on this album, like they have those moments in Jesus of Suburbia, Homecoming, where it's like just goes into Mike singing, just goes into Trey singing for some of it.
I have so many notes in here about the harmonies on this record. Yeah. And I always say this, people look at me like they're shocked, but Green Day taught me harmonies.
Oh, yeah.
And
I believe that. I mean, Queen taught it to them, you know? It's
right.
like you go to the lineage, and it's like, yeah, it's all coming from the best people.
It's like you want to write them off as a pop punk band or just a punk band, whatever. And in their early years, sure, but even on things like Welcome to Paradise, these are gorgeous harmonies that descend. Like, I don't know, revisiting this record made me realize how much this album fucking means to me. Yeah. And I'm glad to be here with you, Robbie. Real quick, before we move on, do you follow the narrative of this, or am I one of the only people who didn't give a fuck about the narrative, like the characters and the rock opera aspect?
It interests me, but not like when I'm listening to the album, I do think about it in certain moments, but only when certain like lyrics come up, like in Homecoming when they're like Jimmy died today and all that. It's like, oh, that's a badass moment, and that's actually in the musical. Like Homecoming is one of the best ones they did,
really,
because it's almost built like a Broadway song, so it like fit for that, and all the way it goes up and down, the crescendos and shit. But I think about it, but not like actively. Like it's almost in the back of my mind as I'm listening.
It's like I know that it's a story and I know these characters.
Yeah. But like What's Her Name is a good one where you think about that. Like, you know, like that's a storytelling song, visual storytelling you think of.
It's amazing how many of these songs on here weren't hits because everyone could have been a hit. Yeah. Which is scary. But it did have 5 hit singles. American Idiot and Jesus of Suburbia was not a single, which is, it can't be. It's 9 minutes long. It's 5 parts. But Holiday, huge. Yeah. Boulevard of Broken Dreams won Record of the Year at the Grammys, which a rock song winning like Record of the Year at the Grammys is now like unfathomable.
Maybe the last time that happened.
I mean, this might be did the Foo Fighters ever do it?
I know I think they won something for Wasting Light. They might have won it for Rope or something like that, or maybe Walk even.
Rest in peace, Taylor Hawkins, of course. But like even songs like Are We the Waiting is so gorgeous. Yeah. Letter Bomb. By the way, I will get into this later. Always skip that song when I was a kid because I hate the kid voices in the beginning.
Oh, really?
The Nobody Likes Me part,
Yeah.
skip it every single fucking time. And then I forget that Wake Me Up When September Ends is even on this record.
Just a smash that everyone in the world knows, too.
Hot take here. Wake Me Up When September Ends is the Nickelback of rock songs. Because people love to hate that song.
Oh, yeah. It kind of became a meme.
It became a meme. It is a fucking masterpiece of a song.
Yeah.
And I will fight anybody who says that song sucks.
It's become like the October joke. Oh, somebody wake
Yeah, when September. Yeah, we get it, but it's a
on.
fucking gorgeous song.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Great music video, too. They got, like, legit actors in that, I remember.
Dude, they did so many of these. The American Idiot video with the giant green slime flag, American flag. I remember I was at my friend Liam's house watching MTV2 when that came out, and I sat there, and I still, like, to this fucking day remember it. But the holiday video went right into the Boulevard of Broken Dreams video. This is just such a great album. And it's to be in the office for the first time, this being the album that we go through.
Sorry, I'm plugging my computer in.
You're
as
great,
we
dude.
speak.
All good. But yeah, so let's cover the kind of players in this entire rock opera. Jesus of Suburbia is the main character, which if you watch the documentary, Billy Joe says he is the king of his local 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Which
They kind of represent in the music video for that, too.
Absolutely.
That's a great one.
I instantly think of Jay and Silent Bob. I instantly think of Kevin James. I think of a New Jersey kid.
Kevin Smith.
Kevin Smith.
Come
Kevin
on,
James.
Paul
Jesus
Blart,
Christ.
Cop,
All right,
come
yeah,
on.
all right, we'll fight after this. It's cool. What's her name is the kind of like the female love counterpart. And then St. Jimmy is kind of like the badass, like kind of side of this entire thing.
And St. Jimmy's an interesting one to me because it's highly debated whether or not St. Jimmy is a real character
Moon Knight?
or if Moon Knight style
Yeah.
is a flipped personality. Yeah.
Me and Robbie are catching like all of our like shared interests here.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, don't spoil that. But yeah, so obviously there's these moving parts. It is a rock opera, but it's to the point where they break it down in two different songs are 9 minutes plus, which you'll never see again.
And I love that. I love long songs. We've talked about it on the podcast, like those Stairway to Heaven length songs. I love. Take me on that musical journey.
There is no... I'm going to get hate for this, but there is no song in the past 20 years in the rock realm that I love more than Jesus of Suburbia.
It might be up there for me, too. I always call it the Bohemian Rhapsody of, like, pop punk rock.
It is.
Yeah.
It's good. There's 5 parts. And by the way, don't ever try and cover that song. Don't. Have you?
No.
I've
played it myself,
yeah.
you know, on bass, but yeah, never as a full band.
We'll just get this story out of the way. Circa 2014 College Foxtrot, our senior year, we are a 3-piece band at this point.
Okay.
It's me, Ken, and our drummer Ryan at the time.
We're like Green Day.
We were like Green Day, and we were playing a show for $400 at a bar in Delaware County right outside of Philadelphia.
400's not bad.
400, but it was 4.5 hours.
All right.
So the day before the show, we decided it would be funny to try and cover all of Jesus of Suburbia at a bar full of drunk old people. We did it. I forgot the song about 3 minutes in.
Oh, no.
We went the full 9 minutes.
Oh,
Fumbled.
no.
I was playing an acoustic guitar, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Like, we were like, this was never should have been done. I apologized afterwards. And we started playing Hootie and the Blowfish, and I got hit in the face with a Bud Light.
Oh.
Yep. So I will never cover that song again. Even
Bottle
as
or can?
Bottle.
Ooh.
Yep. And we did have buddies in the bar. Tried to fight the guy. We continued to play. I did not pussy out. I continued to play. But that is my biggest suggestion to anybody. Don't pop punk and try.
We do have an American Idiot cover story. We did American Idiot. We would open with American Idiot for a while, and it was great. So much fun. You do the Billy Joe crowd work in the middle of it with Rowan doing the hey oh.
I love it.
Crowd would go wild for it. We did it at ECU, which is college bar, college town, whatever. And you get to the moment where you have to drop the F-bomb.
Of course, the hard F.
And it's a hard F in the context of the song.
Right.
It's very much like, fuck you.
Right.
We will be that. If you want to call us that, we will be
Absolutely.
that. Very on behalf. When you do it to college kids that are drunk and not listening to the lyrics, the room went silent like a record scratched.
Oh, no.
We were just like, oh, my God, maybe we don't do this anymore.
Maybe we don't cover Green Day songs anymore.
Yeah, and then I want to say, like, Ron was like, maybe we change it up. And I was like, yeah, we should do Holiday. And he was like, there's a fucking hard F in that one, too. That's 2004 for you,
Oh,
you know?
man, that's 2004. And once again, in the
both are, both are like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I think the one Holiday is, like, from the perspective of someone calling someone that, but it's hard to, put that into your mind in the fast song.
Of course, and it's also like if you want to look at it from the eyes of 2022, like probably shouldn't have said it, but it was like almost in like this like weird like.
It was a very punk rock way to say it.
And this album, like, I guess as kids we didn't really realize how anti-war and how anti-Bush this record was, and now looking back at it, like. That was so fucking badass. Like because they did not like.
This is like everything that bands started doing when Trump was around.
Of course,
but like bands weren't really doing it as much as Bush was around. I mean, shout out to the Chicks now, not the Dixie Chicks.
Yes, not the Dixie Chicks.
They did it and ruined their career for it.
And now they're beloved for it though in a weird way. You know what I mean? Like
come back around.
But I fucking am so excited to go through these songs. Last thing before we move into the actual song by song, just the overall like kind of sonic tone of this record. I've said this on the podcast before. This was the era of unbelievable compression on records. And if you listen to this and American Idiot or In Your Honor by Foo Fighters, they are like 20 decibels lower than most other records that are done today. I don't know what it is about that time period. Everything was compressed to hell. And it's not a bad thing because it still sounds great and I'm sure they've remastered it since. But like everything is so tight.
I would love to like go back and listen to Don't Believe the Truth. Oasis put out in 2005. It was the same way. I mean, they're kind of kings of compression since the beginning.
Oh my god!
With
Noel's guitar tones,
But even this, I think of like the end of Boulevard Broken Dreams, where it just explodes. That's just compressed as shit. It sounds amazing. That's an all-time moment.
Another weird realization today. Listen to the end of Boulevard of Broken Dreams, then listen to the end of This Is the End, or I Know the End by Phoebe Bridgers. Oddly similar, and in a good way. By the way, shouts out Phoebe Bridgers. I love you. Love Phoebe Bridgers. But other than the compression, I noticed something. I was going back on the train ride up. I was watching Heart Like a Hand Grenade. And Billy Joe was talking about they wanted this to feel like a live album in a certain perspective. It does, and it's hard as a three-piece to recreate that. Shouts out to Jason White, the unsung hero, fourth, because I think he got inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with them as well.
I'm pretty sure he did, rightfully so. I mean, he's played with them for I think over 20 years.
Over 20 years, and you never know who the guy is. He's to the side of the stage with his ES335 or his acoustic.
Cool, just chilling, letting everyone else take the stage. Yeah,
but. Watching them, I was watching the videos of them drilling these, and I mean, dude, going in and making a record, you're always in pre-production. And watching them drill the pre-production on this, and like you could tell at a certain point they're like, do we have to run this again? And every band has been through that. But just like achieving what they set out to do, they did a rock opera. They had these fucking expansive guitars and the dynamics of the up and down of this record.
The drumming too.
Trey Cool is just
this record might have like the most tasteful drumming of the 21st century.
He is someone who could. In my dad's words, this is what he always called it when you show out. He could just jerk off on the record all day. He could just play fills, always tasteful.
Those like signature fills that are all over, like the one that opens Jesus of Suburbia, where it's like all over the record. Where he does that almost, it's like Elton John's drummer would do that.
Yes.
Where it's like you do one fill across the whole record. Matt Sorum did that.
Matt Sorum, absolutely.
Like, such a fucking great drumming record.
I mean, dude, like you even think about like. When I say dynamics, like What's Her Name as a song, they come in with just this very tight kind of like minuscule pocket, and by the end of the song, it is just out here, and that is to me like the mark of a great band that can go dynamic, because they were not.
And they've like barely ever done that live. That's one of those songs I've seen Green Day live 3 times, and it's one of those songs that every time I go, I'm like, What's Her Name? Please play What's Her Name, and they never do.
I've never seen them live.
You gotta go.
I know.
That's one of those you have to check them off the list.
Well, when I was in college, that Billy Joe Armstrong and Norah Jones record came out, Foreverly, which is just outstanding. And they did a pop-up show at the Bowery Electric in New York. And I wanted to go so goddamn badly because I've played that venue. It is a tiny room, underground, and to be in the room with those two goddamn legends would have been fucking unbelievable. But I digress. We'll get to that record someday.
Yeah, go listen to that one. That was my fall asleep to record for a while.
That was my study for finals record in college, dude. Norah Jones, once again. Yeah. I love you. So, 13 songs to go through. 2 of them are 9 minutes plus, and one of them is the one I'm going to just pontificate about. But we'll start at the top. Yep. American Idiot opens the record, and with a fucking bang.
Sets the tone. And it's a mark of a Green Day song, especially for this record, to grab you within the first
5 seconds.
Yeah, that riff.
The riff. Yeah. And it is, once again, you said it perfectly, but it's the first album a lot of kids will learn. They are one of the last great bands to do that, where it's, if you don't catch the person in the first 5 seconds, start over.
And not always with vocals either.
No.
Nowadays, you always hear that on Spotify.
Yep.
Like, people just want to get into the vocals the second the song starts.
This is a guitar riff album. If you go through it, Jesus of Suburbia, those 4 opening C# chords that right away you know what you're getting into. Holiday, the slinky riff that comes in there. Boulevard of Broken Dreams, the syncopated kind of delay track.
Delayed track, yeah, that's cool.
They were masterful with this, and to start the record with American Idiot it's the namesake of the album, but it also sets the tone for the political aspect of the album.
Yeah, and in that Broadway opera way, this does kind of tell you what the whole album's about, what you're gonna get start to finish. Doesn't introduce you to I guess the romantic aspects of it, but that's more of the I don't know, B-side of it.
No, but it's the mental aspect of the main character being this disenfranchised kind of this disenfranchised little punk kid, lives in a small town, needs to get out, around all these rednecks, just being I am not you. I don't feel that way. I'm getting the fuck out. And if you don't like it, fuck off. I'm gone. But to me, if this is also the most, besides Holiday, the most societal kind of critique of the time, but even in that beginning part talking about one nation controlled by the media, tell me that's not existentially fucked up to where we are today.
This record has aged so well.
It's unbelievable, realistically, because we don't remember shit about the Iraq War era.
I was 6,
but the thing is, I do remember the day the Iraq War started.
Really?
I do. I was.
This is fucking super dark. This has become a dark podcast. 9/11 is one of my first memories ever.
Really?
Yeah. I remember watching that on the news and just being what the hell? I knew my family worked in New York, so I was they were fine. But
Miss Sapinski's class, 4th grade, got pulled out of class. I just remember getting Colin Budney come down to the principal's office. Everybody started getting called out of school. My dad took me to a baseball field. We stayed there for the next 4 hours. He was just trying to keep me away from a TV.
Oh my goodness.
So then we got home. But we don't need to talk about 9/11.
Yeah, really. I mean, it is, this record kind of.
What are the classic album reviews? Do you remember 9/11?
But yeah.
No, but so you're in this period of time, and I guess being where they were, because here's another thing about this album. When did Dookie come out? 93?
94.
94. Yeah. They were 10 years into their career. For as much as they had put out, this was not a 20-year journey into it. This would basically be 21 Pilots is. If they put out an album today, reinventing themselves,
getting back in the spotlight. This was, I think we talked about this too, probably the last rock album in that spot.
Yeah.
Can't think of another. I mean, there were Foo Fighters albums that came after that were big, but not in that mainstream big way.
Yeah, I mean,
everywhere.
Stadium Arcadium, maybe, but it wasn't a cultural phenomenon.
But yeah, even that was you got Danny California, you got Snow, and then mainstream wise, I don't think people knew much else.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that was fucking everywhere, but maybe Blurry Face, because I guess that was for maybe kids, the 21 Pilots record, but for us. Adults now, that's
so big.
So big.
That Bull in a Bible show was 125,000 people.
Bro, record of the year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was because I feel after that was the Pitchfork era where it was Arcade Fire was huge, but it became an underground thing.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
Black Keys style.
Yeah, Black Keys. Yeah. White
Stripes. Nothing against them, but
no, not at all. But I mean,
the way the world evolved.
Right. This may be the last crossover pop culture phenomenon rock album, which is fucking crazy. But as far as American Idiot, that's basically all I have about that. Because I mean, we know that song, but let's get into This is my favorite song on the record.
Same.
It's Jesus of Suburbia.
Yeah.
And this to me, where do I even start? 5 parts. I don't remember the words to all of them. If I'm playing them live, I'll put it that way. But the balls on a band to do a 9-minute rock opera 5-piece song and do it twice on an album.
Yeah.
It's fucking incredible.
And the way that they also speaking of songs that kind of play off one another, they are the perfect that's the bookend of the album, the bookends of the album, where where it's like Jesus of Suburbia starts you off on that chaotic, this is the lay of the land, another kind of what the main character wants in life, where he's going. And then by the end, it like wraps everything up in a nice bow. And then What's Her Name I always viewed as like the epilogue.
Yes, absolutely. And then What's Her Name takes you out. But then Homecoming, my God. But no, to me, like, do you have a favorite part of this? Like a favorite section?
I love when it just cuts out everything except Mike Dirnt's bass with the I mean, that's like...
I can run through a goddamn
maybe the I Don't Care? Is that the I Don't Care
I Don't
part?
Care, yeah. Dearly Beloved is my favorite part. Dearly Beloved. Oh my fucking God. Also, another word.
It's also like when you see Green Day do this live, you're like, there's fucking nothing better in the world than this.
This is a song that, when it starts, I want to run through a wall.
Yeah.
And then by Dearly Beloved, I'm thinking, I don't care. The piano part before that. Yeah. You know, about to cry, and then by the end of it again, I'm ready to run back through a fucking wall. This is a journey in itself.
Yeah, the ending is another one, just that, I'm leaving.
Oh my God.
That's so good. And that's also such a Broadway ending. The way they end that is so, like, you could picture, like, everyone on stage, like, doing a big pose at the end
of it. It's like I picture, like, on the Broadway show, the Dearly Beloved part, like, the lights drop, it's a single spotlight, and then the, I won't apologize or anything at all. That part is, like, I picture somebody going to, like, a knee at the front of the stage, and then, like, the dancers explode behind them, like... Could you imagine
pitching? See them live, they do the fireworks and shit.
Could you imagine pitching this to a producer? Like, just being like, all right, so I got this idea. It's a 5-part song.
Been like, what
the fuck are you doing? Like, that's what I'm saying. Dude? The trust that they must have had with Rob Cavallo to just be like, okay, this is what we're doing. And he's like, sweet, love it. All right, so we're through. Do you have anything else to say about Jesus of Suburbia?
Nah, I mean, it's just a perfect song.
It's a fucking perfect song, dude. But that leads into a run there on these next 2 songs, which are on Spotify connected.
Yep.
Both huge hits.
Yeah.
We'll start with Holiday.
Huge hit. They both have their own Wikipedia page.
Dude, I mean, Holiday to me was the #1 song I played along to when I was a kid. Yeah. Like guitar-wise.
I would always play along because the bridge of that has such a good and it's not too hard to play. It's like one of those fun riffs that you could learn right away.
Dude, great bridge on this song too.
Yeah.
When they break down to Billy Joe with the
it's like the loudspeaker.
The megaphone.
Yeah.
Which is of course like the Damon Albarn thing, like the big Gorillaz thing, like
Haley Williams would later do that.
Shouts out to Haley Williams as well. We're shouting out all the queens today.
Yeah.
Love this. But Holiday, hyper political. Once again, this is like
this song I think got them in the most quote unquote trouble from the
absolutely.
Because everyone would call this an anti-America song, and then famously on Bull in the Bible he intros it by saying this song is not anti-America, it's anti-war.
Right, and I mean they do basically call the president a Nazi.
Yep.
Say Zig Heil to the president Gasman, which I don't know if 11-year-old Colin caught that.
No,
but
I definitely didn't.
I was definitely like shouting the lyrics in my basement though. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Could you imagine my parents walking by being like, "Did he just what? What are we talking about here?" But yeah, I mean, even the music video is dystopian as fuck. Like this sets this world in this dystopian hellscape of war and fucking bombs dropping. But it's still got a great chorus.
I was going to say the chorus is like the perfect anthem rock chorus. When you talk about them wanting to write this for live, like this sounds like they wrote it being like, let's write the most fun song to play live.
Oh my God. And Mike Dirnt, it's gang vocals, like everything. This is a live song. But the thing that strikes me by the point you hit this album is the fact that Jesus of Suburbia is 5 parts, but each of those individual parts, the song structure is just fucking gorgeous. Yeah. Like there's a great intro, pre-chorus, chorus. But the bridge, when breaking down and coming out again, like, we take for granted how great the song structure is for these songs and what a great songwriter Billy Joe Armstrong is.
It's like you said, with, like, he took everything he learned in his career, put it together.
Yeah.
You could hear it in Jesus of Suburbia.
Yep.
You could hear, like, in the slower parts and the sadder parts and the crazy parts. It's like, oh, shit, this is, like, a culmination of everything he knows.
It's the culmination of your entire life. Dewey Cox is exactly what it was. But no, Holiday, obviously a huge smash hit, but it's not even the biggest smash hit that it's attached to, because it's attached and goes directly into Boulevard of Broken Dreams, which, once again, this is another song that could be memed to death. I think The Office kind of like... I think of Dwight singing this at karaoke at Christmas time more than anything, but to me, this is like oddly an emo anthem because...
Definitely.
It's
I went to emo night in Brooklyn this past Friday.
Yeah.
And this was on the set list.
Of course it
Yeah,
was.
there you go.
It's like
Great music video. Another one with a great music video.
which
Iconic.
continues the holiday music video.
Yep.
I remember this very, very vividly on MTV2.
I used to have a Boulevard of Broken Dreams shirt. It was such a cool shirt. I
was
in first grade. And I was going, it was a black shirt, and it just had kind of a red bar, and it was like Converse walking on, like, it was like a cartoon of Converse walking on, like, a fucking literally broken street.
I am sad we didn't bring eyeliner for this. I said I was going to.
But I gotta do interviews afterwards, and it would be weird if I was interviewing Meatball Molly with
what am I gonna do later when I go on Zoom with White Sox Dave and Dante and Kenny and I have eyeliner on? Like White Sox Dave is just gonna just give me like that just Clint Eastwood,
go the full Batman with the like all over.
Oh yeah, I'll be looking like Zvakaitis in what's that fucking Semi-Pro, the Will Ferrell movie. Their eyeliner starts running. White Sox Dave would just look at me like like Clint Eastwood in fucking Gran Torino. Just give me like a look.
Either that or he wouldn't notice until halfway through the podcast, and he'll be like, "Are you wearing eyeliner?" And
I'm sure
I've been wearing it the whole time.
It would not shock me if there's a picture of like some character that he's done at some point at Barstool, like with him with eyeliner. I feel like he always gets roped into this shit.
Yeah, I bet.
I don't know how we got there, but Boulevard of Broken Dreams. The outro is fucking rock and roll, dude.
Yeah.
Like pure as like emo that middle section is. Like I said, inspiring a lot of shit that happened down the line. I brought up the Phoebe Bridgers thing, but to me, like, this is peak CD era rock and roll. Mm-hmm. Like, this is great, humongous chorus. The production matches what they had done thus far on the album, but it crystallizes what this album sounds like to me. Acoustic intro, huge stacked Gibson chorus for the guitars, and the Mike Dirnt harmonies, just fucking outstanding. But I mean, I don't think there's much that we can say about Boulevard of Broken Dreams that hasn't been said already.
This is like, for me, when we talk about everything coming together with the acoustic intro and then the crazy outro, it's like they took a little bit of Warning and they took a little bit of Nimrod. And it's like Foo Fighters doing In Your Honor, half electric, and then they do Echo, Silence, Patient, Grace, and they're like, what if we just combine it?
We're watching a band figure out who they are.
Yeah.
Is basically what it is. Because, dude, I don't think that they, like, I mean, obviously, like...
It has, like, the Come Alive structure.
Yo, my God. Let It Die. Like, that whole...
Yeah. We could do one on that.
We are going to have to do one on that album, dude.
That album is unreal.
Is that the Foo Fighters album you would do?
It's so tough because I think my favorite, if you were like, you're on a desert island, I'm giving you one, I'm taking Wasting Light, I think.
Me too.
But, like, that album is, you're sacrificing the pretend. My favorite Foo Fighter song is But Honestly. It's another one that kind of has that structure where you start acoustic and you make that explode by the end of the song.
Come Alive is one of my top 5 favorite Foo Fighter songs. Also, oh my God, Cheer Up Boys, Your Makeup is Crying. Great song. Long Road to Ruin is just a masterpiece. Yeah, we're going to have to do a Foo Fighters album soon.
Erase, Replace.
That fucking they snapped on that record. It is. And I mean, following In Your Honor, which to me, that's this era for me is when I was like figuring out what I was going to make music. Like when I was a little kid, American Idiot and In Your Honor were back to back 2 years in a row. So that was like kind of like the first records I played alone.
Okay.
This is my music.
This is it. Yeah.
But Boulevard of Broken Dreams won record of the year. We already brought that up, but what else are you going to say? The next song to me is the one that I go back to the most. I have to be honest.
Really?
Like this song to me. We're talking about Are We the Waiting? Yeah. It's U2. It is arena rock, like personified, big kind of like 80s, like boomy snares, like just these fills. But there's like elements of Tom Petty to it. There's elements of U2. It would be like kind of like what Coldplay would go on to like emulate when they started doing their arena shit, where you're just commanding an army.
They would bring out to the front of the stage and shit.
Yeah, dude. I mean. It doesn't sound like anything else on the album realistically, but this to me is another Broadway moment. Yeah. This is, and you can speak from your own experience. The St. Jimmy character or the Jesus Suburban character walks to the front of the stage and he's just talking to the crowd.
That's literally they play it. It's stage is dark and spotlights and shit and slow, and then Jimmy like literally kicks down a fucking door and it's lights everywhere and it's chaos and it feels like an anxiety attack happening on stage and this is like seems to me like Billy Joe knew how good he was as a frontman.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And he was like, let me just write a song where I could put him in the palm of my hands and then just pull it away from him with St. Jimmy.
And this
is also like when they're put together on Spotify. This one makes sense. For me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If you're gonna put any two together, the way this transitions, it's almost like one big intro for St. Jimmy.
This could have been just another 9-minute song.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like this same key across, the key doesn't change, but it's two completely different animals.
Yep.
But Are We the Waiting? I love that Joshua Tree era, kind of like anthemic U2.
Spacey almost.
Spacey. And it's weird too, because this was around the time of Aerosmith's kind of like push-play era, like Jaded. Yeah. And that's the same kind of a feel of Jaded by Aerosmith, which I love. Like, my sensibilities, I love the major kind of stadium shit.
Yeah,
that's the fucking nerd, like songwriting nerd in me. Like, I just like
feel like that's the Kiss Motley Crue fan in me.
That's what I'm saying.
As big and loud as possible.
Yes,
yeah.
And this to me is like, I don't want to bring my fucking self into this, but we wrote a song for the new record. I'll send it to you, but it's called Whatever's Left of Me. And I structured it like it's a Broadway song. And when I look back, it's also in A. This is an A sharp, but like it's also in A. And like I was thinking of Are We the Waiting? Like that is exactly what I wanted to do. And the dynamics of this song don't really change as much. It builds and builds, but the dynamic change comes at St. Jimmy.
Yeah.
Which...
That guitar.
So good. That's the differential between, just fucking, you're in a crowd, you're swaying, lighters up, and then
mosh pits break
out. Then mosh pits break out. But it's old school punk, dude.
Yeah.
This is
Ramones. This is probably the most punk song on the album.
Yeah, and I mean, yes, you're correct.
Just I'm looking back. How fast it is. American Idiot's up there, obviously.
Letter Bomb 2.
Yeah.
I wrote down here, and we'll get to this, but Letter Bomb reminds me of Nice Guys Finish Last, which is kind of like my favorite, like, I don't know, these like kind of like Beach Boy punk songs, I call them. They have these like up and down harmonies. Like, it's so fucking good. But St. Jimmy, I posted the video from Bullet in the Bible. That, when he's running from platform to platform, dude, oh my fucking God.
That's like some Axl Rose shit.
That is some angsty fucking six-year-old Robbie running around like, fuck you, Mom, I am St. Jimmy.
I swear, like, watching that and being in the basement and just being like, and that's my name, and don't you fucking wear it out. My mom would be like, hey, no F
watch him out, dude. Dude, it's just, St. Jimmy to me is Green Day obviously connecting back to what makes them Green Day early on. But it's also it's not early Green Day punk. It's like rock and roll punk. It
fits in with this so well. It's like the American Idiot version of punk. And
it's also like Billy Joe on this record, and this is like a technical nerd standpoint kind of a thing. He's not playing Strats anymore. In the early days, he was playing Strats. He was playing Les Paul Juniors. And
this is where he made the switch?
This is where he made the switch to the Les Paul Juniors. Yeah, and which is, to me, is what... This album does not sound like Fender guitars.
Yeah.
It is fucking humbuckers, and it's P90s, and it's thick, and it's fat, and it's just mixing that with the acoustic elements. That's the sound I love on this record. Yeah. But St. Jimmy is fucking, give me a Gibson, give me a Marshall, get the fuck out of my way. Like, they're playing with a pick. Trey Cool is fucking going for it, dude. This is American Idiot to me.
Yeah.
But we go from St. Jimmy to one of the sweeter moments on the record, and hot take, maybe my second favorite song on the album.
It's up there for me, and another one that was really great in the Broadway version. The Broadway album is on Spotify, Apple Music, so people can listen to it. It's worth listening to.
I know what I'm doing on my train ride home.
Yeah.
So Give Me Novocaine starts out with this kind of like playful pocket from Trey Cool, but then it goes into the Pop Rocks and Coke capoed acoustic guitar. And you're like, okay, we just came out of St. Jimmy. What the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And the most tender vocal lines, single line, not harmonized, from Billy Joe. But it does what this album does, and it plays with your dynamics.
Another good explosion.
Explosive drop into the pre-chorus, and drain the pressure from the swelling, the sensation's overwhelming. Fuck you, Billy Joe Armstrong. Because there are so many good lyrical moments on this record, but like, I love that idea. It's not a physical Novocaine, it's a mental Novocaine.
And that lead guitar riff where it's like
this
so good.
One thing we haven't even mentioned yet, and I know you've been in studios, you're a musician obviously. You know about
kinda.
Get the fuck out of here. Pop punk kicks ass. Pop punk kicks ass, dude. It's ear candy.
Yeah.
And although this is not the most, layered structure in the verses, there are those George Harrison kind of the after the first chorus, these slide moments that I'm like, that separates your verses. That is so smart. It's such good fucking songwriting, dude.
It's crazy too that like I feel like if you said that to someone that like doesn't love music, like two of Green Day's main influences that you could hear all the time in their music are the Beatles and Queen.
Absolutely.
And I feel like people would be like, "What?" But like the melodies, Billy Joe is like a Paul McCartney style melody writer where he knows how to do that up and down thing through verses and balance it like his melodies are like an equation sometimes.
Billy Joe is visceral but whimsical. He has Paul McCartney has a whimsical aspect to him. Like there is this kind of like nursery rhyme element to a lot of things that he writes, which I have always loved and always modeled. Like he catches you.
Yeah.
That's what separates Green Day from being a punk band to a crossover pop rock fucking megalith. It's because of the songwriting. Yeah. He just writes better songs than everybody.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but give me Novocaine.
Even his like 50% is most people's 100%.
Absolutely. He's a better, like if we're comparing Foo Fighters and Green Day, he's a better songwriter in my eyes than Dave Grohl.
Yeah, he probably is, yeah.
I love you, Dave, and I love the Foo Fighters to death.
Dave hasn't written like a Jesus of Suburbia.
No, but I also don't think Dave Grohl, like, if you watch like the Sonic Highways documentary, there were times where he was just scribbling shit down in a like in the booth, and he was like, all right, cool. I feel like Billy Joe is the kind of guy that will stay up for 48 straight hours and chain smoke cigarettes to get the right thing.
Yeah.
But
that is one of the things that's a good point about Dave, and it's like kind of cool. You see it in back and forth sometimes where he didn't write. It was Dear Rosemary. I think he didn't write the bridge because he wanted to write it when he had.
Who was that?
He had another singer come in to do it.
One of the bands that he loves.
Yeah, and it's a great part. That guy's voice.
Creepiest
is like
voice ever.
Yeah, it's very distinct.
This is why I fucking love you. Yeah. There's nobody else who I'm gonna throw that reference
moment,
out to.
It really shows like Dave is like, no, we'll just fucking write it when he gets here.
Yeah,
like, we'll do it in 5 minutes, and that'll be and it works for that record. It feels natural. It feels fresh.
I've always felt that Dave Grohl they make the songs and then the lyrics go. Yeah. I totally see him as not a guy. Although like I like Best of You obviously was something that he sat down and he poured through. Let It Die, something he sat down and poured through.
You could hear it when he does it. You know?
Absolutely. Because then there's sometimes like
I like the new record, but it doesn't sound like he did that on the new record.
What was the album before that? Black Concrete was the name of the album.
Golden Concrete.
Concrete Gold. Concrete Gold. That's what it is. I fucking hated that record.
Did you really?
I did. I hated it.
I like that one.
I hated it because I loved like their previous 6 so much. And Wasting Light is also like that's a fucking perfect album. Different record for a different day.
Yeah.
So after Give Me Novocaine, it goes into She's a Rebel was always a song that I skipped.
Really? Oh, I love She's a Rebel.
I love She's a Rebel now.
Okay.
Talking like young Colin.
Back in the day, yeah. I really like this song.
Unbelievable song structure again. Because after that first chorus, and they go into the like back to almost like the American Idiot, like dun 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 dun, and then they go back into the verse. That's mind blowing to me as an adult, like being like, damn, that was really fucking smart, and I would never do that in a million years. But She's a Rebel to me is just the back half of Give Me Novocaine.
Yeah, it's another one. These two back and forth do make sense when you pair them together.
Yes. Oh my God, absolutely. Yeah. But this is also another. This is getting into the stretch of the album, and I'm sure it got into the stretch of the Broadway play where he's playing off what's her name, the female counterpart in this.
Because she's kind of like pulling him out of the drugs that St. Jimmy, whether it be himself and another personality or his drug dealer himself, is getting him into.
Yes, which is something that we haven't even gotten into yet, but the drug aspect of this, which even if like
the Novocaine kind of, you know, like
I guess that does make sense.
Yeah.
I'm discovering things as we speak. But She's a Rebel, fucking badass song now that I've gotten to the point where I've listened to it so much.
Yeah.
Fucking love it. Another song, we talked about this in the beginning. I hate the beginning of this song.
Oh, I love it's kind of like
I hate it.
Indian drums.
Yes, it is like Middle Eastern drums.
Yeah.
And then it drops into this, and I'm going to say this band, and I don't know how you feel about this. It reminds me of Oasis in a weird way.
Oh, yeah.
Like that kind of like Time of Being Idol era, or like Layla era Oasis.
Definitely. I was going to say that, and that's 2005. That's like, yeah.
Yes, and I mean, but I also have another, like, I always write these weird fucking like comparative things in these notes. It says, it's Roy Orbison meets Oasis meets Tom Petty.
Roy Orbison, yeah.
Yeah, she's just an ordinary girl.
Yeah,
It's got this like
that,
50s kind of Roy Orbison thing.
Yeah.
And now that I've like gone back and listened to it more, it's so fucking good, dude.
Wow.
It's so stupid.
You're right
good.
about that.
Like,
and also looking at some of these, like, She's a Rebel's a 2-minute song. That's quick.
It is.
And obviously that is kind of the back half. It's
there's
a back
points
half
of
song,
Jesus of
like,
Suburbia that are longer than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But like, Extraordinary Girl is like, I wrote this down. This is why you don't skip songs.
Yeah.
Because I missed, like, that is a song that if like 5 years ago you asked me, you're like, well, how does that song go? I'd be like, it's that fucking annoying song with the drums at the beginning. I didn't want to listen to that shit. Give me the fucking song. What did we say earlier? If you don't catch me in the first 5 seconds, I'm out. Yeah. That is one of the songs on the record where they don't go for it in the first 5 seconds.
It's almost like a slight interlude.
Yes, it's totally an interlude, but then it bursts into this big Indian Roy Orbison Oasis Tom Petty thing, which is fucking gorgeous. Yeah. Like I said, this is one of those songs that I've gone back and I've fallen in love with. Yeah. And this is once again the what's her name part of the album, where we're going through everything like that. How was this live? What did they do for this for the musical? Do you remember?
I don't remember because it might have been like just the main character, Jesus of Suburbia, and what's her name sitting on like a stained mattress in the middle of the stage. I want to say.
Gross.
I want to say this might have been like a slower one. They
really
might change this up.
Interesting.
I don't remember entirely though, because like I said, I was literally like my family would work in Broadway, so we would get sometimes like invited dress rehearsal tickets.
Oh, it's so dope.
And like. We would always be like, no, thank you. Like, I didn't want to go.
I don't want to go to Billy
Hairspray.
Elliot. Yeah.
Like, but when American Idiot comes down the pipe, me and my brother were like, are you fucking kidding me? Like
go,
the
baby.
first dress rehearsal. So it was a long time ago.
Is it still running on Broadway?
No. It hasn't been on for a while. I believe Hamilton is where.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard of that one. It's
no, I've never.
Tiny little show. Yeah.
So fucking good. Yeah. Watch it on Disney Plus. It's fucking outstanding.
You know, I got to see it twice.
Fuck yeah. Did you go to Springsteen on Broadway?
No. Not a Springsteen guy, really. I know.
We know, yeah, I know.
I like Springsteen, but I'm not like a Springsteen guy.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. We're just gonna move on from that for a second. You won't be getting kicked just once today, bro. Letter bomb. I brought this up earlier. Hate the creepy kid in the beginning.
Yeah.
But this is the most classic Dookie era, Insomnia era, Green Day.
You could hear it literally on all three of them. Like
yes.
On Trey's drums, on Billy's guitars, and on Mike's bass. It's totally that kind of throwback era.
Which they needed it, I think, maybe for old fans who would be like, where is it? Like, what the fuck is this?
I know people that are like, oh, I hate when Green Day got political. Like, I was out at that point. And it's like, that's crazy to me, because how do you say I'm out on this album? It's probably like, this is the song for them.
Probably the same people who blast Born in the USA, and they're like, this is a great anthemic American song. It's literally protesting the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
But no, Letter Bomb. Great fucking song.
Great song.
Is there anything else you had to get on that?
Not really. It's not one of those, I don't even really know where it comes into the narrative of the story or anything.
Me neither.
It's kind of just a one-off song that's great.
Letter Bomb, I feel like, is once again, like, I don't know, like, that era America where everybody was afraid about anthrax getting mailed and shit like that.
Oh, maybe.
This might have been one where...
Is that what a letter bomb is?
I'm assuming.
Anthrax in a letter? Never thought about that.
I think it is, because that's, like, when all that shit was going down.
Yeah.
We don't support anthrax. Wake Me Up When September Ends. If you don't like
it before, but yeah.
If you don't like this song, you're a fucking liar.
You know, it's a shame that it is such a beautiful song about like his father's death.
Yes.
And now it's a meme.
Right. Exactly.
For him, it's like
I remember the VH.
And when he plays it, like when someone plays this live, whole crowd's going wild. They're singing along. It's like Wonderwall almost in that like.
Yes.
You go wild if you hear it live, and then on Twitter people love to be like, oh.
This is a forbidden riff at Guitar Center.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
But there is that switch, and it's one of my earliest memories of playing the guitar. We had in my house a Line 6 amplifier. Do you remember these amps?
Oh yeah.
Which are like, if you go on like music memes, like Line 6 is like maligned as like it had built-in effects and shit like that.
Was it the one with it had a little screen on it?
Yes, and you could change it and shit like that.
That was my middle school band. My guitar players had those.
So, but I had a pedal board with it where you could program it for switches 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1 was clean for me, and then 2 was super distortion. So I would play the do 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 do, and then do touch, which is just fuck, lead an army into war with that. But no, I remember them doing this at the MTV Music Awards, and they did it on a rooftop, and
badass,
just fucking awesome, dude.
Shout out to the Beatles for being the first people to do that, and then everyone that has done it since has looked awesome.
They do it all the time. Billy Strings did it at the Grammys this year,
and they have like people on the top of the market. Foo Fighters did that.
Foo Fighters did it on top of Radio City Music Hall.
Yeah.
The first time they had Franz playing the drums.
They were like, oh, this is
our new drummer.
Yeah.
And then he was their drummer for like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Got all the shit re-recorded. Sad.
Well, it brought Taylor Hawkins in the fold, so
Fact.
God bless. Reaching the end of the album here, Homecoming, another 5-part epic. This is more your speed, I think. Here,
Homecoming.
Yeah, go through what you think about Homecoming.
I feel like people don't talk about Homecoming enough. The death of St. Jimmy.
I was just gonna say
that it's a dramatic moment. That's one of those like it ties a nice bow on the album. It's like, all right, that character's gone, and then the Mike Dirnt parts, the Trey Cool. I love the Trey Cool part where he's just,
God.
I got a rock and roll band. It's like you hear like the Foxborough hot tubs almost come in that moment. You know,
absolutely.
It gets fun. And
just a fun punky shit. Like that's what I'm talking about.
And then Coming Home Again is just kind of like another like big rock, big anthem. Great way to close the album. Like I said, I kind of consider this like the close. The final chapter.
Why isn't this the close?
Because I do think What's Her Name works as like an epilogue in a way, like in a like, you know, he's still thinking about What's Her Name, even though it didn't work out. He's like, fuck, don't even remember her.
And I wonder By the way, I have one gripe on What's Her Name. He rhymes What's Her Name with What's Her Name.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, I remember her face, but I can't. But I don't. But I can't remember her name. But I wonder how What's Her Name is. Like it's like
name.
Yeah. It's one of these weird things where like that's something I would get shit on if I was in a studio. It'd be like you rhyme name with name. It's like a Reddit commenter like fuck you. But as far as Homecoming goes, I do like that to me is the end of the record. If I was pacing it or whatever. But then again, you just brought it up. What's Her Name is the end of the story.
And it's like What's Her Name would sound. Obviously, it looks back on the story of American Idiot, so it has to be the end. But like the actual sound of it sounds like the song that would close the record. The
Absolutely.
way it explodes at the end like that.
Oh yeah, that's a good like, and what the Black Parade like influence there, where it just things start falling apart. It's like the end of a movie where like the heroes are doomed and the room's falling apart.
Books falling off shelves, pictures falling off walls.
What, it's like waiting for the impact, and that's how the record ends.
Yeah.
It's a gorgeous end to the record, and it's
truly one of my favorite like Green Day songs in general.
Dude, goosebumps. Swear to God,
They did this. It's worth looking up. They did VH1 Storytellers when this
It's amazing.
Came out.
It's so good.
And I think it's the one place where they did Homecoming and What's Her Name, because in that they would obviously go through every track in the album.
Yeah.
And both are just fucking awesome.
That Storytellers is one of the greatest storytellers of all time.
The greatest, to be honest.
To me, it's that the John Mayer Storyteller is hilarious because it is John Mayer at his absolute douchiest. This is collarless leather jacket John Mayer, where there's this moment where he's talking about, or he's playing the song fucking Who Says I Can't Get, or Who Says I Can't Get Stoned, and he's in the middle of the song and he's not explaining shit, and he just goes, plan a trip to Japan alone, and then in the middle of the song he just goes, I actually did that. And then he just continues the song. He's just a douchebag, but he's awesome. But no, this was my favorite Storytellers of all time. You're right.
My favorite,
It's fucking outstanding. And I mean, that caps off the record. Like, it's...
Later, they would put, like, bonus tracks on it, I think, right?
Governator.
Shoplifter, Too Much Too Soon, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It's... Those are good. They're, like, all... They're all in American Idiot style, but like have nothing to do with the narrative.
They were good cuts.
Yeah,
they were good. That was good cutting room floor material.
If you added those, American Idiot almost becomes like, I don't know. This is like a perfect record where like you look at it and you're like, I wouldn't cut one thing.
Yep.
Those you could say like, oh.
Absolutely, and I'm glad that they did cut them.
They did a cover album for this too. They did a Kerrang cover album.
I didn't know.
Neck Deep was on it. 5 Seconds of Summer.
Shut the fuck up.
Bowling for Soup did St. Jimmy.
What?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
State Champs did Welcome to Paradise.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's just as a bonus track.
I was just gonna say, did they do other songs like?
Yeah, and then the Swellers did Basket Case as a bonus track. That sounds pretty fucking cool. There's also a pop punk tribute to Green Day that All Time Low is a part of, and they did a really cool version of Longview.
I've heard that.
They actually changed it up enough to where it like sounds like an All Time Low version.
Like Jack play that bass line?
Zach would play
Zach,
it. Yeah. And he changes it up like just a touch to where it's like it's still the iconic bass line. It's like you can't really change that. Yeah. But it's just enough where it's like, oh, this kind of sounds All Time Lowish.
All right, so real quick, let's pick favorites here. If I had to, Jesus of Suburbia, I've already said it is my favorite song on the record.
Eliminate that.
Eliminate
like,
that.
Doesn't count.
I gotta go. Give me Novocaine as far as song structure goes. Are We the Waiting for the Vibe? I fucking love that. But I might have talked myself into What's Her Name.
I was gonna say I go What's Her Name.
It's so good.
After Jesus of Suburbia, I go What's Her Name, and I might honestly go Homecoming after that. I love Homecoming. I feel like that's one of the more underrated Green Day songs.
I mean, if I could take Are We the Waiting and St. Jimmy and put them as one,
yeah,
like I do on Spotify,
I would count them as one. They're one on Spotify.
It's so goddamn good.
Like if I'm giving you a phone with no internet connection on an island alone, you could still download those as one song. I'm like, dude, I'm even just like looking through here at those pictures. The Green era. The fucking aesthetic of this record was so good. Yeah. And there he is, right there playing Les Pauls, because that's a Les Paul like standard too, which is not something he usually plays. He's a tiny dude, so he plays the they're like the specials. They look a little bit different.
They're thin.
Yeah.
And he always plays things with like these weird fucked up basic pickups like the Ramones.
Which totally inspired me as a bass player, which has made playing bass much harder. Billy Joe always just his guitar's at his knees. I hate. Yeah, you are that dude. I love doing that shit.
Does Mike Dirnt play a P bass or a jazz bass?
I think his own P bass.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And it's a fucking sweet bass. I like the way it's not rounded around the edges, kind of more jagged. And he's got such a good stage presence as far as basses. There's like all the iconic pictures. Yesterday was his birthday, actually. I saw Billy Joe post about that. All those iconic pictures of him like leg up, kicking in the air, and it's like, bro, you're 50 and you're still getting hang time.
What is it about bass players that for some reason they're the ones who age like a fine wine? Like Duff McKagan,
Geddy Lee.
Yeah, Duff McKagan looks great
for 20, 30 years.
I think that Duff McKagan and Mike Dirnt might be the same person.
Duff McKagan is one of the only rock stars that like still looks cool at his age.
Absolutely.
Because like look at Axl right now.
Yeah.
He still has his good nights. He has his off nights, has his good nights. He doesn't look like Axl Rose. Axl Rose used to look like a badass.
He looks like Axl Rose if Axl Rose was melting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a great way to put it. Duff McKagan looks badass. Duff McKagan looks like he could fuck you up in a bar still.
Kenny Karki said this on the podcast one time that he spent time, like he knows those guys.
Yeah.
Like he does. And he's saying like the most beautiful family you will ever see.
Want to hear something fucking crazy about that? We used to have someone that worked here, produced the Yak Colby. Everyone loved Colby.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Right? He went to MSG the night Guns N' Roses were there. I was there.
Yeah.
Me and my brother in. Him and his brother outside just trying to get someone's attention, trying to get tickets.
Yeah.
And Duff McKagan's fucking wife spotted them as Guns N' Roses fans and were like, you guys trying to get into the show? And they were like, yeah. She's like, I can get you in. They didn't know who she was at this point.
That's
they don't know what
fucking awesome, dude.
She fucking brought him in and brought him to the floor. So you saying that doesn't surprise me at all. That's the only story I'd ever heard about his family, and they sound like the coolest people.
I got more bass players popping in my head now. Flea in great. Yeah. All the Foo Fighters are in pretty good shape.
The Chili Peppers.
Chili Peppers. What the fuck am I talking about?
Yeah, you're right. Anthony Kiedis still is like taking his shirt off on stage and he's jacked.
Dude, you brought up Foo Fighters. I think Nate Mandel just looks like he's a fucking accountant. Like he's the most accountant-looking guy ever.
Repair your computer.
Absolutely, he looks like
he's always looked like he
looks like he runs Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Like he's just
friend of the pod, Chris Shiflett. Another guy who always looks cool.
Just a handsome motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like I love you, Chris. I really do.
Yeah. Pat Smear's aged pretty well. He kind of looks the same for.
I feel like they might have cryogenically frozen him for a while because he actually looks the same as but like someone who's lived a lot of rock and roll years. Do you know what I mean?
There's Foo Fighters Pat Smear and there's Nirvana Pat Smear, and they look like two totally different.
Oh, 100%. One was far more haggard and exhausted. Maybe
they're always smiling. Both of them. You see Pat Smear, he's always on stage like.
Yeah.
It was nice. I saw pictures of the Foo Fighters side stage at Chili Peppers at Jazz Fest.
Oh, I saw that.
They all had smiles on their faces. It was like the silence from them has made me be like, oh, I hope they're fucking okay. But seeing them all smiling, it was like, all right, they're gonna be okay.
I predicted this on the episode after Taylor's passing. I think if they go back out on the road at any point, I think I talked to you about this. I think Chad Smith will wind up being the one who tours with them.
I said the same thing, yeah.
And after seeing that tribute,
it's interesting because they got definitely different feels.
Absolutely.
But Chad, I believe, can play every Foo Fighter song.
Absolutely.
And he can't do the background vocals, though.
That's true.
That's something tough that you lose, because Taylor was so fucking good.
But it's like
Shiflett can.
Shiflett can, absolutely.
If he wants to pick up the slack, like, he's got a very good voice.
Rami, the dude who does their keys too, like they have got,
and they've had the girls doing it for the years. It was
absolutely.
just you had the difference with, like, you got the 3 girls who were awesome, and then you got Taylor and Dave going back and forth.
But it's also
you'll never replicate that, though. So it's like, maybe you don't even try.
Chad Smith, maybe Jason Bonham. I don't know. Like, I feel like he's a hired gun. Like, he might do something like that. Like, there are names, but I think this leads us into saying the next album we need to do needs to be a Foo Fighters album.
Oh, I'm down. I would do any Foo Fighters album.
I think we have to do a Foo Fighters album next, and my vote would probably be Wasting Light, but
we should bring Dave on for that, just because the original take of, like, Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yes.
And just be like, let's talk about how much of a master Dave Grohl is at all of his trades.
Maybe we can get Shiffin involved for that.
That'd be awesome.
Maybe, but that'd be kind of weird though to be like, hey, I want exactly your opinion on everything that happened during the making of this album.
He'd be like, dude, I fucking heard those songs 10 trillion times.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about these anymore, bro. But all right, so we'll do Wasting Light by Foo Fighters next. That'll be the next classic album review. But this was the classic album review of American Idiot by Green Day.
Hopefully brought back some nostalgia for people. 2004 all over again.
Let's go put on some fucking makeup and throw a red tie on.
Yeah.
There you go.